All right, everybody. New show, new guest, old friend, returning guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Davin Rosenblatt. How are you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Not bad at all. You know, it's really weird. We have known each other for quite a while now. We've actually worked with each other a few times. Actually, more than a few times. And but this time we haven't actually been in the same physical space in a while.
It's got to be what, 10, 15 years since we've actually seen each other?
I don't know if it's 15. Maybe
Oh.
you're that old, but
I remember you did something up here for me in Jersey, and then you did a great job, and then you retired.
semi-retired. Yeah.
Well, until I see your butt on the stage, you're retired.
How dare you?
I'm
How
waiting.
dare you?
I'm waiting for the comeback.
You know what the funny thing was? Right, I was writing a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of stuff written right now. Because I have to. You know what it is, man. If you take 2 weeks off, you know that knocks your timing down. Maybe imperceptible to the audience, but you know.
Yeah,
So
but see, now's the time for you to come back because they're just going to assume that you're rusty because of COVID, not that you took a decade off. So now is the perfect time.
yeah, yeah. You know what the funny thing is? That was actually the main reason that it's been delayed as much as it has because I was planning on taking care of some business.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden I couldn't even go outside. And the bad part about it is, with COVID and everything, I had ill relatives that I had to, be around and do stuff for.
Hmm.
And I was scared to death. Not for me, but, you know, picking up something and then, killing everybody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, anybody who's a decent human being would be concerned about not necessarily themselves, but carrying it and getting loved ones, acquaintances, strangers sick. That was the thing about COVID-19. Even if you thought that you were healthy and could fight it off, you could transmit it to other people. So that's why we really needed people to stay away from each other and be careful. It was a very isolating illness.
Now, how did people where you live handle it?
Well, I mean, where I live, because you got to remember, I'm in New York. So for the
Hmm.
longest time, we had the mask mandate from the state. It just got lifted a few weeks ago. I personally did not witness anybody fighting with clerks. I saw some people wearing it ridiculously wrong. I saw a woman in a Walmart wearing a mask vertically. I don't even know how that's possible. So it wasn't horizontal across her face, it was up and down across her face. Um, so I saw some of that, but I mean, now we're starting to see the people be nitwits because people are tired of it. For instance, the high school, they're trying to do graduation, and the state, they're still limiting. Even though you watch a basketball game, it's packed.
Hmm.
They're still limiting like these graduations. So the school wanted to do like 3 or 4 graduations for the seniors, and like this year, people are like, nah, we're not into that. We don't want that. Seems like too much work for us. So then they were like, okay, well, we can have it on the football field, but we're gonna have to separate people. But vaccinated people can sit more tightly together, and unvaccinated people have to spread out. And there was a petition going around against that, so now they can't do that. So I mean, people are they're back to their old selfish ways because really it doesn't matter how inconvenienced you are. You should be thinking about the kids that are graduating. But nah, New York is right back on track where everything's going back to normal. We're a bunch of jerks again.
Did you have anybody near you that caught that deal?
My sister-in-law
Mm.
was very, very sick with it, and I don't even know if she's still 100% recovered.
Mm.
I mean, she was really down and out. It took her a long time, lingering. I want to say my father's cousin passed away from it. I
Ew.
mean, nobody I was like extremely close to that I know passed away, but I might have had it. I think there's a good chance I actually had it when it first when it first started making its big splash
Yeah, when it's
in the United States. I was actually touring.
Mm-hmm.
So on Thursday, I'd done a show in New York City, and I ate in a sandwich place where it was packed. And we already know COVID's coming out. This is like the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
We already know COVID's around, and they got the pickles out and the silverware is out where everybody can touch it and everything. I'm like, this is insane. And then I went and commented about that on the show I was doing at the Greenwich Village Comedy Club. Then I did a packed show at a firehouse in Jersey on Saturday.
Ooh, okay.
Tuesday, I did a packed show in Indiana. Everything was great. Wednesday, me and my feature went out to a Mexican restaurant for lunch. At lunch, I started feeling some real issues with the tummy. Now, this is before people knew that there was like really stomach issues with this. It was like at the time, it was like only 6% were reporting stomach issues. So I thought I had a stomach bug, and I proceeded to get really bad. I had stomach issues. I was weak. I couldn't focus. I was shivering. So Wednesday night we do the show, and I think I have food poisoning. So I'm busting my feature's chops. They took me to a Mexican restaurant because he suggested they got me food poisoning. That night we were in Indiana, and the Indiana governor called a state of emergency for COVID, and we had 6 people in a huge theater. So then I woke up feeling really ill on Thursday, and we had to get to Kentucky. So we drove to Kentucky, and my feature got something to eat. I stayed in the car. I couldn't even get out of the car. Mm-hmm. And that night, the Kentucky governor called a state of emergency because of COVID, and there was like a tornado threat, like a tornado warning in the area. So I want to say we had 4 people at the club, including like one person who was a police officer who was coughing all over the place. I'm like, man, and he came from India. I'm like, man, how are you going to leave your state and come here and cough all over the place?
He's taking
Friday.
COVID on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, he was taking COVID for a trip. Who does that? Friday, Friday, the President Trump calls his state of emergency. So we had like 12 people there, and I was really, really sick. But I'm like grinding through these shows. I mean, the audience can't tell, but I'm like really weak. Saturday morning, I woke up because I had a fever. I couldn't sleep. I had the chills. I mean, everything with COVID. I had like everything you would think with COVID, except I wasn't coughing, and I had my taste and smell. But there's all sorts of different.
Did you have trouble breathing?
No, I didn't have any of the respiratory issues. But this wasn't food poisoning, because food poisoning doesn't last days.
Food poisoning lasts 24 hours.
Yeah. Trust me, this was not that. I mean, thank goodness I had reading material with me. I mean, but it was just so Saturday morning. I woke up really early, and I went down to the front desk at the hotel, and I asked them to give me a couple of ibuprofen, and that seemed to break my fever. And slowly I was getting better. So by Sunday, I felt somewhat human. When I flew home, by the time I got home, they wouldn't test me because it was really hard to get tests at that time. But my feature, who was driving with me, wound up getting sick, and his wife wound up getting sick. So do I know it was COVID? No. But considering where I was, how packed it was, and then the symptoms I had, there's a good chance I had it, because it was like no stomach bug I've ever had before. I mean, I was just like shivering at night. It was brutal, but I've been lucky. Did you lose anybody close?
No. Hold on for a second. Sorry. No, actually, I know people that got it. No, I didn't lose anybody.
Good.
Close. I had a young one got it, and mild symptoms. I had a neighbor get it. I didn't know she had it. I just hadn't seen her for a while. And then when I saw her, she goes, I had COVID, right? And I went, I'm backing up from you, right? Right. And she said, I just got over it. I'm like, yeah, well, just get over there. And, but the thing is, because I don't know whether I had it or not, or whether I had, because whatever I had, damn, they pushed me down the steps, but I had people to take care of. So I had to do what I had to do. And, I got tested before that and didn't have it. And then, it was just really weird, because you were just watching people, everybody that I knew, that I saw every day, that I didn't see for a while. I knew why. You
Oh
know,
wow.
so I was like, yeah, you haven't been working at the market in a while. Yeah, you had it, didn't you? Yeah, you
It
know.
was it was the darndest thing when it started because I didn't want my parents going to the supermarket, but they're stubborn. But I would try to come down and bring them food and everything. So I would drive on the New York State Thruway, and there was nobody on the thruway. I was doing like 100. I mean, normally I do 90 when there's nobody, but I was like doing 100, and there was nobody there. It was weird. It was eerie. It was quiet.
It felt like being in a movie.
Yes,
A
yes,
bad,
especially.
and here's the what I'm talking about. Not like a good movie. You know those movies you watch when you're touring and you're in a hotel and it comes on at 1:50.
Yeah.
One of those movies, you're waiting for, you're waiting for some dude that you used to see on old 80s, like the bad guy from an 80s series or 70s series. Because you go, like you were saying, no one's outside. And then you get that, it felt weird because it was like, your block can go to the supermarket on days with M days and aren't. They're almost at the point where they were going to give you a day when you could
They
go
did
to the
that in some
supermarket.
countries.
Yeah, well, man, they
But
came close.
here's how weird it was. Like going to the supermarket was like my big day out. It's like, wow, I'm going out to the supermarket.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
It was just, I mean, that was, and now isn't that almost like societally embarrassing that it got that bad that literally, I was like, the drugstore, sure, I'll go.
Yeah, because you know what? You wanted to break up the monotony of it all. I mean, when I was delivering food to students that were I guess they were less off because they're on certain food programs, and with the school being closed down, I was doing that in the mornings a couple times a week, and I would look forward to that. I would look forward to that, going to the supermarket, because there was no place to go. There was nothing to look forward to. That was the really weird thing about COVID-19. There was no events. Like, we have the 4th of July coming up. We just have Memorial Day weekend. You get together for birthdays and anniversaries. There was none of that. You were just grinding through. I mean, I guess some people were going through their Netflix catalog, but I mean, I guess that was a thing, but it was just like a quiet monotony.
To me, it was one of those things where sometimes when something bad happens outside the house, you can be in the house and watch television and it can be an escape from that thing.
Right.
Not when you got the news anchors sitting in glass boxes.
Well, right. I mean, right. And they had a counter. It's like, oh, we just got in another 800 people dead. Yay.
It's like, gee, and they're doing a split screen because they're on different floors of the newsroom. All the live shows. Remember, we do a thing down my hometown in Philadelphia. It's like the Welcome to America thing they do on July the 4th. It's a big deal. And usually there's about literally a million or so people.
Is that the thing with the mummers?
Oh, no, this is physically bigger than that. And they do it on July 4th, and they do it by the Parkway. It's literally, it's like 1 million people.
Wow.
And they perform outside in front of the art museum. They decided to do the same show. So they're doing and I just imagine being a performer on that show. Man, this is going to be great. I'm going to be performing in front of 1 million people. It's the biggest crowd I've ever, huh? What? And they're performing in this little tiny place, trying to perform as if they're, you can tell that they had the choreography set for the 1 million people, with expecting bombs to blow off and jump off everything. They're like, you can be performing in front of 3 camera people and 6 people with masks on. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, as performers, we all had to try to figure it out. I mean, there was definitely a need for entertainment and escapism. So though they didn't have the live audience they normally had, I'm sure a lot of people were sitting by their TVs and appreciating what they were doing because it was an escape.
You damn right. I was there.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to believe it was a year ago. And then you would see you had to watch the presidential press conferences because you didn't know what he was going to say. I mean, and it was just like, if you like watching uncomfortableness, which I do, it was very interesting to watch President Trump. And then you would watch Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci and the discomfort. It was just like, wow, this is so awkward.
When I watched Dr. Fauci standing there, it's like it's like watching your kid take a dump down the back of the while they're playing a piano recital. And the kid
Yeah,
takes
but this kid has the nuclear codes.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, because I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, let's be honest, that's one of the reasons why he got in there. People are like, there's no way this is going to happen. I'm not God. It's like, well, I don't have to show up for this. There's no way he's getting in there. That's what they were thinking.
People were complacent. They just, especially in your city, they just assumed Hillary was going to win. So I mean, you can't assume democracy.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really weird because if you can get Philadelphia and Pittsburgh to show up, you're going to win the state.
Yeah, and she didn't, and they didn't come out for her. I mean, Trump did very well in Western Pennsylvania, but I mean, she did not do well in the suburbs around Philly and in Philadelphia. I mean, it could have been different. I mean, I don't think we want to rehash the 2016 election, but I mean, listen, we should have learned in 2000 that you can't be complacent. Every vote counts. We learned that in Gore versus Bush. Every vote counts. It's our civic duty to go out there and vote, unless you're voting for the candidate I don't want to win, and then by all means you should stay home.
Right, that sounds familiar.
I'm not making laws.
Hey. Oh, so we lost? Yeah, we decided we didn't lose. There's something else we passed.
Yeah. Remember when it used to be from that team, F your feelings? Yeah. All of a sudden feelings really matter. I know you say we lost, but we feel like we won.
That's like I just imagine if you took this same mindset and just applied it to sports. The same people that aren't paying attention right now would freak the hell out. Just imagine, I can't believe it. The Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, huh? Yeah, hi. I'm Andy Reid. I just made a couple phone calls. We just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we just did a recount.
Yeah, none of your touchdowns counted.
It turns out Pat Mahomes threw for 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. What, you didn't see that? I don't know why. Well, we'll do 5 recounts.
All those passes that they dropped, we counted them as catches. So we actually won 75-6. Give me that trophy there, Tommy. Thank you.
Here's what you need to know about human beings. We have no sense of hypocrisy or irony, a lot of us. Mm-hmm. Like we are, especially in this country, we are very immediate and we need our satisfaction. So it doesn't matter what we said 2 weeks ago, a year ago. Right now, we know what we want, and we want it now, and by any means necessary. It's not really the way you want to run a country, but apparently it's how we're going to do it.
Maybe not the way you want it, but
we should go to Lord of the Flies. That's what we should do. Just go listen to every man for himself. No guns. It's all going to be bare knuckle brawling, and you get to use those pool noodles. Those are your weapons: bare knuckle brawling and pool noodles.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's like gangs of New York when you go on Twitter. If you say the wrong thing.
Twitter is such a cesspool.
I keep telling people, I was on somebody else's, I was doing an interview as a guest on somebody else's show, and they asked me how I use Twitter. And I said to them, listen, if you really think about it, you can make Twitter whatever you want to because they have lists. You can literally just follow people, put a list of people you want to hear from and just stay there, because I stay out in the wild because I'll be honest with you. I'll be completely honest. I don't care.
I mean, listen, I use Twitter poorly, very, very poorly. But I just use it to promote stuff. I rarely have jokes up. I mean, once in a while I'll put something up there. I don't get a lot of traction with it. I don't Twitter very well, and I'm okay with that.
It's really Facebook and Twitter, even though you'll have the same people on both in many cases. It's the culture. The culture of Twitter was always wacky. Even when I got on it maybe 12 years ago, something like that. I was on Facebook first for a few months, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun. I get to connect with my friends and his relatives that I don't get to see that much. And you know how it is when you have certain friends, you love them, they're great, but you don't necessarily, I mean, you can't talk every day. I mean, you had cornflakes today? Fantastic, So you just want to kind of peek in, see everything's good. You know,
Yeah.
the kids recital. Oh, good show. Oh, you just want to peek in, but it's little tiny peek-ins. But it's for and even though Facebook has turned into, Twitter's older brother, because it can be just as vicious and annoying as well.
Yeah, I've seen some posts from you where you've talked about that you had to get rid of some people. I guess they were saying racist stuff. I don't know what they were saying to you, obviously, but you've had a couple of posts where you just felt like you needed to remove people from your sphere, and I don't blame you.
You should, man, dude. I mean, because the bottom, because if it was somebody I didn't know, I mean, I tend not to follow those people. But it was the thing that was shocking to me. Well, there were people that, and here's the thing: most of it wasn't even really directed towards me, because they know better than that. But
because you know what I'm saying, man. Because you're one of the good ones.
That's right. Damn it! There's 6 of us now.
There's 6. We keep a half dozen around as an example, so we can feel better about ourselves.
And let's be honest. I'm pretty sure you got a little bit of that, some of that action as well.
I get. Well, I mean, you see my page. I mean, if I post something, I get the right wingers attacking. It's if they can make an intelligent debate, I will engage. I just can't. I don't get anti-Semitic hate on Facebook, but my posts are set to friends only. So I don't really get that type of stuff. But you know what? If you set your stuff to public, anybody can comment. I've lost people. I actually lost an African American friend of mine. We were good friends. We did a little bit of a tour together, worked on some projects. I played his music, his rap music on my show. He put my radio show in his movie. Whenever he had a new movie project, I always had him on to support him. And it was, it was last summer when Black Lives Matter was like was really heating up. And I'd reached out to him, like, is there some way we can raise money for Black Lives Matter? So I put on my page, essentially, I don't have time for people that like take pride in, I'm saying it ineloquently, in their race, their religion, whatever it is. I want to judge you by your character, by who you are. And he took that completely wrong and in front of me. But if you look at what I was saying, I said it a little better than I'm saying now, but it was essentially what Martin Luther King Jr. was saying. And he just blocked me, and he went on about how I was racist. And I'm like, wow, man. And I haven't spoken to him since, and it kind of, it's kind of upsetting, but people were in that space. I get it. It's just a shame.
Listen, I've heard this is the part that was disappointing, because none of the people that know me personally would even think about stepping to me, with a direct thing like that, because like I said, they know better. But because there's like, do you really want to test the verbal skills? Really? Is that what you want to do? It's like, you really want to, I mean, you've met me, right? So, but the thing is, you see stuff like, I've seen people, because I caught myself a couple of times looking at people, and they posted some stuff from a certain news channel that shall remain unnamed. And it was like, and then I was like, well, obviously they're posting this to show this as how outrageous this is. They're not espousing this themselves. They're showing that oh God, they believe it. And I'm going, what? And you just scroll down some more. It's like, well, okay, maybe they believe one crazy thing, but I can't believe there's another one. And the whole page is this wacky crap. And I'm going, oh, and I said, you know what? I'm going to test this. I'm going to see what's going on. I'll post something, and then they'll come underneath it, and they'll say, but they like I said, they never attack me, but they would attack people in the comment section. And it was vicious to the point I was like, I can't have my friends attack. So I literally had to get rid of the people. And then I would have had, for maybe almost a half a year, I had my page friends only, because people were just like firebombing my friends in the comments. And I was like, I don't have enough time to sit there and battle 80 dudes. I don't have time for it. I don't want my friends getting pounded. And then now it's back public, mainly because everything kind of calmed down as far as attacks on Facebook. On Twitter, I expect it. So, it's like if you're going downtown into the downtown area, and you get attacked. Oh my God, what's going on here? But if you go into an area where you saw it on the news last week when it's 15 people shot, you kind of know where you're driving. You know what I mean? You kind of
Yeah,
get
no, you're right. You're right. I actually did get personally attacked by a comedian who I thought was a friend. Known each other for years. He would, we've done shows together. I would hire him. He, if he had a question about like a joke, he would seek my opinion and everything. So we're doing our radio show, and it's on Facebook Live, and my co-host shares it on his page. I don't even know what we were talking about on the show, but this comic goes, Davin is a self-hating Jew and hates the police. Both those things are incorrect, by the way. But I tagged him. I said on the comment, how you can tag, go, if you got something to say, why don't you say it to me? And he never responded. And I'm like, all right, then that's it. And he's the only comic because of political views. And it's not because of his political views. It's because he was a jerk who I won't hire. It's like, you know what? You're going to be such a jerk. And I remember when this guy was not in on Trump. He didn't really like Trump. And then I've seen him get all in and just so angry and so much vitriol. And he just attacks people on his page and just the use of language and everything. It's like, why be that angry? Is any of this worth that type of anger all the time? I was thinking, your guy's in office. You should be happy now. He's not your boyfriend. You got the guy you wanted. Why are you so mad?
It was just really a weird thing because when you see that's the thing also, is because we become so hyper aware of everything, because virtually everyone is walking around with a high definition video camera in their pocket, so we see everything. Every time somebody does something wild or wacky or racist or anti-Semitic or misogynist, we see it immediately, because a lot of times these people will stream it automatically, or they'll record it and upload it so quickly that, I just imagine what it would look like if we had today's technological advances and we put them back to 1950 and 1960.
You'd see a lot more lynchings. Yeah. Unfortunately, you would see it. You would hear the racist things that people said. I mean, so I don't really think it would be that much different. I mean, fortunately now we don't have lynchings per se, but we haven't. I mean, the society's gotten better, but we still have a lot of people that just have a dark soul in them running around. Because I mean, the whole racism thing is stupid. I mean, or anti-Semitic or anti-gay, and he's like, why get all involved with that? Just judge people for who they are. If there's a transvestite black guy who's Jewish and gay, but you know what? He seems pretty cool. All right. It's a lot easier to like him than to hate them. Hating takes so much effort.
When you grew, where were you raised your formative years?
In the wild. No, I was raised in Bergen County, New Jersey, next to a town that was very Jewish. I grew up as an Orthodox Jew. I went to public school. I did not have a lot of Jewish friends. And, I grew up, I'd have to walk to temple, and I wouldn't wear my yarmulke because I was kind of ashamed. I mean, I still don't want to run around wearing a yarmulke, to be honest with you. But, there was a lot of shame, and I guess comedy is where I started talking about it. Because as you know, in comedy, eventually you have to get around to a little bit of yourself if you do this long enough. But I mean, I grew up with a lot of non-Jewish white friends.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because in comedy, you kind of your friends become a little more culturally diverse.
Yes.
Because I didn't have any white friends for the first 12 years of my life. Then I think like 13 or 14, I did an internship at the Philadelphia Zoo. That's where I got my first white friends. And fortunately, I wasn't raised to hate white people, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, what a look at that,
Right.
I was never raised with that. So, and then I started doing comedy. God, I just sit back and I realize that I think of myself as damn near a baby at 13 doing an internship, not realizing less than 4 years later, I'd be doing comedy professionally.
Wow.
It's like 17 years old. It's ridiculous. But the thing is, my friendships, it's like at that point, it was like 99.9% of my friends were black.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing comedy, and literally in months, it was like 80-20, in almost the other direction. I didn't lose any of my black friends. Still had them, still got them now. But the thing is, the overwhelming majority of people that were doing comedy where I was.
Well, you were doing mainstream rooms. You weren't doing what they like to call urban rooms. You were doing. Yeah.
I started out, the rooms I started out in, the room I started out in there were 2 A rooms in my city. And they were down the street from each other. I started working in one and I started working in the other one. Technically, I wasn't supposed to work both, but I was like, look, I'm working both. F y'all. And I just interviewed the on this show that we're doing on this show, the owner of the first club I worked, and I was giving him a hard time about that. But the thing is, my friendships became more diverse, and so when you become more diverse, it's amazing how your mindset, if you have an open mind, if you have not been poisoned, and I like this, and I feel bad saying poison, but it really is a poison. Hatred, it really is. If you haven't been poisoned, then all of a sudden you start to become aware of other people, other religions, ethnicities, and I personally think it actually improves you, because when you have more knowledge, more experiences to draw from, I think it makes you a more balanced human being. You don't have. I lived in San Francisco. I didn't, and all of a sudden I had a bunch of gay friends, right? And so, and I get there, and they were like, we like you, and I was like, oh, okay, I like you too. He said, no, so the reason I like you is not you're a great guy, but you didn't treat us any different. I'm like, why would I treat you different? It's like,
yeah,
why I'm going to not like you because you're dressed like that? Am I going to not like you because of who you have sex with?
Well, you got to remember though, you're also from a Northeast city.
Yep.
As am I. We have a different experience. I mean, the advantages we get by traveling, being in cities that are diverse, or going to college where you get to meet all different peoples. Oh, I guess my college is paying all different people. I mean, so like when I would travel to the South, I played places where they really hadn't seen a Jewish person before, so they had questions, and it wasn't that they were ignorant because of hate; it was that they were ignorant because they didn't have the experience. There's a difference.
Oh, I know. Oh. I can relate to that. You want to tell me a story right now?
No, I'm about to listen to yours.
Okay. So this is the way I go to a place. It's Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Ah, yes.
You've done Lancaster, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this is obviously I've been there 14 billion times by now. So it's like, who cares? I would show up there. Hey, it's Anthony. But it was like, at the time I would go in there and you would see people kind of staring at you. And I'm standing in line with everyone else. And it's like, I'm watching the entire restaurant. Just kind of, you can see people kind of peeking over at me, but I didn't feel anger or hatred. I felt curiosity. Right? They're like, okay, there's a black dude here. Okay. So the girl behind the counter, she's super corporate, over the top, nice to everybody. Oh, welcome to everybody. I walk up. Hello, sir. What would you like, sir? Burger. Okay. So it was like that was the first night. Second night, same thing. By the time I'm at the end of the weekend, it's like, hey, what's going on, buddy? They literally were just curious. I don't know what they expected to happen, but whatever it was, it wasn't good. But when they realized, they started liking me, and then all of a sudden they just treated me like everybody else, and it was just weird. I'm like, I have to earn over the course of a week. They
don't see a lot of that. I mean, that in that town, they're probably not seeing a lot of black people. I mean, if you would have pulled up in a horse and buggy, that's more common than being your skin color, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and ironically, the person in the horse and buggy will be carrying apple butter, which is also my skin color.
That's actually what we used to call you. We used to call you Steve Apple Butter Thomas.
You bastards.
He's smooth like apple butter.
Have you ever eaten that?
Yeah, I think my wife actually made it at one point.
Yeah, there was a point where I literally loved apple butter, and then it happened. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, get this crap.
It's a shame because I got to tell you, apple butter misses you.
I got the letter.
Yeah, well, why don't you call? Apple butter drives by your house slowly at night to see if your light's on.
And then I just wave relish out the window. You lost your chance.
It's sad. It's sad. I mean, I never figured you for a relish feller, but there it is. You know, what are you going to do? See, apple butter had its shot.
Yeah, but you can't put apple butter on a hot dog. So that's one thing.
Well, you can't put relish on peanut butter sandwiches.
If you're pregnant, you can.
Well, is there something you'd like to share with your audience?
No, I was actually saving that for episode 100. So,
I'm a very not special episode.
You might be. I think you might be 99 or something like that. Actually.
Oh wow! I was one away from relevancy.
I think
my life.
I think you're. I really do think you're 99. I'd have to check afterwards. But
oh man, I should have told you. Let's do it next week.
Too late, sucker. You're not going to get the big story. But
no.
When you do your, I'm going to switch back to your show for a second because I know that you cover more controversial topics
than apple butter and relish. Hardly
on your show.
Yeah.
And so I got to know because every once in a while. Mm-hmm. I will get some I usually, and then this is not like a phony thing, but like 99.9% of the time I get contacted. It's like really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. But I tend to I'm doing interviews on this podcast, and on the other podcast I tell like personal stories and all that kind of crap. Mm-hmm. But you, sir, scammers, you, sir, controversial topics, you, sir, and even your co-hosts.
Yeah.
You know, they grab the edge a little bit, do they not?
Joe does.
Yeah, Joe grabs the edge.
I don't think Pip is controversial.
I should have said. I should have just said Joe.
Joe has very strong opinions.
With these lies.
I mean, Joe is a Trumper.
No.
I mean, so sometimes he and I agree, and sometimes I can't believe the things that are coming out of his mouth, and sometimes he gets me upset or he gets Pip upset, which is really hard to do, but it's okay. Mm. But it's all right. You should be able to talk about things. It's okay. I mean, the beautiful thing about our show, Davin's Den, if you want to listen, is like we'll be at each other's throat, but in that same topic, we'll be cracking jokes and making each other laugh. Mm. I mean, there's always time for a joke. I mean, at the end of the day, comedy has to rule. So, like, we could be arguing like policy or something, but if somebody's got a good joke to tie into it, well, by all means. And then back to yelling at each other.
Now, what happened? Because obviously, Joe leans to the opposite of the left.
Yes.
And you lean to the opposite of the right.
I'm center left. I'm not insane.
Okay, it sounds about right. Sounds about where I am, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because I can't fall all the way to I just.
No, listen. Trust me. Nobody fights with the liberals more than I do. Because and I'll fight with the right too because I just want common sense and decency. Mm. I mean, at some point you have to realize not everybody's gonna think the way you think. So how can we kind of do something where most of us can get along and be okay with it?
So you're saying you're not a big fan of purity tests?
Well, see, this is yet another thing me and President Obama have in common. We are not fans of purity tests. No, I'm not. Honestly, for my people, purity tests have never worked that well.
Yeah.
As a Jew, you never want to be on the end of a purity test.
There's another group that can also relate to that. I think we have that in common.
But not for nothing. My people were the original slaves. We are the OG of slaves.
Mm-hmm. Man, I tell you, I'm really curious about.
What's that?
If I'm going to get hit in the throat in the emails over this episode.
Why? We're not saying it. Why?
No,
it's
because
honest.
because I'm so. This show is so non-con. Like I don't mind. I expect to get attacked on the other show. Uh, my original show, I know it's coming. You know what I mean? But what I was curious about, and this is something
Mm-hmm.
because you have Joe on the show with his leanings and yours.
Mm-hmm.
January 6th.
Yes, January 6th.
Now,
You want to know? So I texted my co-host,
mhm,
and Joe was at the day program, his job,
mhm.
as he calls it. I mean, I was watching this mortified. I was home, and Joe, he went to This Is Antifa, and then as we talked about it, he's like, "But what about Black Lives Matter?" And then it's like, well, these are just a few morons. So Joe, in that regard, very much took the talking points, and I was like, this has nothing to do with Antifa or Black Lives Matter. You think lefties are going to dress up like like Trumpsters? I mean, why would the left want to stop this thing? They're getting what they want. They're gonna certify the election. They want Biden. It makes no sense why the left would interrupt it. I mean, we don't really talk about January 6th much right now. I mean, we'll goof on the guy. Was it the QAnon shaman? And I think Joe looks at it as like, these are a bunch of idiots that did this, and I look at it as like, this is a problem I saw in 2015. In 2015, I said, and I was talking about Jews in that point. I think there's going to be a rise in anti-Semitism,
Mhm.
and I was kind of right about that. And I was just watching the progression, because I've always been able to relate to these people that are all in for Trump. I correlate them to my scam victims,
Mhm.
because I've tried to help many a scam victim, and many of my friends have tried to help many a scam victim. And you can show them all sorts of proof and try to tell them this is not going to go well for you. And you know what? At the end of the day, they have to want to see it. So, you know, I
I,
don't I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, or
no,
even if I answered the question
I was
properly.
just curious because it's right. But just think about this for a minute. Normally something that big,
Mm-hmm.
there's this gigantic gap between events that big happening, and we have the COVID and this and that. They're like they're stacked on top of each other.
Well, I mean, we were also in the throes of still Black Lives Matter, and we had we had
Yes.
the George Floyd trial approaching, and listen, Joe's always thing is, well, if they would just comply. And I would always say, I go, well, if everybody would comply, we wouldn't need police to begin with.
Yeah. It's like,
Unfortunately, people tend not to comply. That's why we need to make laws.
and that,
Unfortunately, we're not all angels. But the thing with George Floyd, not to get all controversial because it's not that show, but my perspective and a lot of perspectives is regardless of what got George Floyd into that predicament, forget all that stuff. Once he's under control, the threat is over. You can't keep him in that prone position with your knee on the man's neck. I mean, it's regardless. It matters not if the guy was on drugs, if he didn't listen, this, that, the other thing. It's all irrelevant. And Joe would go back and forth on that. I mean, there'll be some stories that we'll talk about, and Joe will be like, "Well, the police were wrong," but there'll also be a lot of stories where he comes down. Well, if they would just listen, if they wouldn't have done this, or wouldn't have done that. And it's like, man, not everybody's an angel, and the police don't get to be the judge and the jury. The police are there to enforce the law, but they don't decide if you're guilty or not. They don't decide if you live or die. And I have a lot of police friends, and I feel bad for them because these are good police officers, and they got to get the crap. It's like, it's a weird place to be in, because I'm completely sympathetic to what's going on to African Americans. I can't relate. I can't relate to being afraid to go outside or get pulled in by the police because of my skin color. I just can't relate to it. Now, when I was a teenager driving around a Camaro and I had long hair, I was certainly profiled, and I had run-ins with the police, but I never have to tell my daughter, be careful of the police, like you probably have to tell your kids, growing up. And it's a different thing. And I think the difference between Joe and myself, quite frankly, is a more readiness to accept empathy and compassion, to like understand, go, all right, this is different than me, and I feel bad for it. I need to understand this more. Where perhaps for him it's simple. Well, they were doing something wrong, so they got where they're coming. What's coming to them? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, you're talking to a black guy.
No, I know. Listen, I just told you I had a black friend.
Wait, you got another one?
Listen,
Hold on.
Listen, my friend. I can lose black people left and right. I do not discriminate with who I piss off.
Damn it.
I do not care.
I thought it was just me and two other dudes. You make me sick. So
well, it actually is. It is down to you and two other dudes, and they're not even black. You're my last black friend. That's what this is.
We'll see how the rest of this show goes. Damn it.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, I was gonna make that announcement on the 100th show, but since I didn't make the cut, I guess I'll make it on 99.
It's just a weird thing to hear another person's perspective. Obviously this isn't completely the same, but I had a girlfriend I lived with, and we lived across the street from this store, and there would be dudes hanging out outside the store. I knew they weren't going to do anything to me, but I didn't want her going over there because I was afraid of two things. One, they would be inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they would be inappropriate and she'd tell me. Three, they would be inappropriate, they would tell me, and then I would go over there and break someone's neck. So yeah. I said, so I never let her go to the store. But it was more along the line of not, because I had to think from, what could happen. She could be attacked. And there were times when she didn't want to go certain places because she didn't feel safe. But these are places where I don't want to walk through that alley. I'm like, why you walk away? I was like, she's a lady. She's not going to walk. I'll walk right through the damn alley. I look at it from a different perspective. When someone comes and talks about the police aspect, I know from personal experience, I'm not, as far as temperament is concerned, as far as the way I sound is concerned, and the way I carry myself, it's pretty much the same, obviously with maturity added to it from the person that you met. So I know what it's like to be walking down the street and having 5 or 6 police cars come up to me with their guns out, when I'm just walking down the street. I know what it's like to have someone to have a gun in my face during traffic stops. And these are not aberrations. These are things that have happened on many, 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 many occasions, more so in Los Angeles than on the East Coast. It's happened here too, but more like 90% of it was out there. Keep in mind, I do not drink. I do not smoke. I've been driving for almost 40 years. I do not have any tickets. I'm as clean as can be. And yet, these things have happened to me. So when a person goes, you should have complied. I was going to my sales job to sell toner with my briefcase, walking down the street.
Yeah, no, like I don't want to speak for Joe, but if Joe heard that story, Joe would probably side with you. Well, I mean that's the thing about Joe. He's interesting.
Well, this is not, and apologies to Joe, because me giving this perspective wasn't specifically shot at Joe. It was more along the. No, I just want to be clear, because I don't want people to be mad at him for that, or if he hears this to think that I'm attacking him or anything like that. This is just about seeing things from a different perspective, and I also could look from the other perspective of someone who doesn't have that happen to them ever. So they don't have that experience. So from their point of view, it's like, well, I also am interacting with these same police officers and no one does anything to me. Now, I have to be honest with you also. I also have friends on the force. And the majority of my interactions with police have been positive. But you remember the 56 times that,
I mean, listen, I think the majority of police are good. I talk about this all the time on my show. The problem with our society is we ask our teachers and our police to clean up all the mess that we should be doing ourselves as parents or as citizens, but we push it on to the teachers and the police. I think it's a very difficult job. I think the vast majority of the police are good people, and I think right now the black people and brown people and Asian people and police have a lot in common. I think they all feel like there's a target on their back. And you know what? When you feel like you have a target on your back, you're going to be on edge. You're not going to be in the best frame of mind. It's not good for society that so many people think that somebody else is out to get them or looking to do them harm. It's just not a good way to run a society.
It is. Yeah, it is just. It's just the most amazing thing, because I still. It's like when I turn on the news and I look, because we have to keep reminding ourselves, the news, even if you have a news station that isn't trying to be outrageous, say for the sake of argument in this specific mental experiment, we have a news station that is unbiased, accurate, factual, no opinion. They're still going to show the shootings, the killings, the murders, because what are they going to show? Guy goes to the store, buys a can of soup, and goes home. No one cares about that, nor do they need to be informed about that. But you do need to know about the shooting, because you might not want to go into that neighborhood right now because they're chasing somebody. You do need to know about the tornado. So those things are going to happen those outrageous things are going to happen anyway. So, but when you walk outside your door, you don't see the stuff that they see on the news.
See, what's interesting is the news reacts to what we react to. So, for example, once in a while, I'll post a story on my page about something really nice a cop does, or something really nice, something else happens inside society, or so. Like yesterday, not that a cop did, but I posted how the FBI was able to retrieve most of the money from the hackers who ransomed that pipeline.
Yeah,
nobody
awesome.
responds to good news. I put a cop doing something nice for a little girl, regardless of their color. Nobody responds to that. I post something about a cop bashing somebody's head in. People are going to respond to that. We respond to bad news, so the news gives us bad news.
I remember one time they were trying to do a thing called Good News. It was one of those local type stations.
Sure.
That crap probably got canceled before the first commercial break.
No, nobody wants good news.
Nobody
makes a movie on good news where everything's going well and everybody's kind. Eventually somebody snaps and that becomes the focal point of the movie.
I was like, I've been watching this movie for 12 minutes. Nothing is blown up. The hell is this?
How is nobody getting hit? I know it's a Disney movie, but still.
Come on, stab Minnie Mouse in the foot. Something,
Give me a taste. Give me a taste. That's all I'm saying. I don't trust that Donald Duck. Look at him. He's walking around with no pants. He's going to do something.
It's just really a weird thing that when you see that, because I know now, I don't know when it happened. And it's probably happened to you. It's got to have happened to you too. This internet has desensitized me to the point where I've seen so much on the internet over time that I remember when the first time I saw something gross on the internet, like somebody, like a car accident or something like that, and it bothered me for like a week.
I'll do you one better. Do you remember on VHS, Faces of Death?
Oh, I saw that.
You remember how disturbing that was?
Yeah, that was hard. Especially that lady with the train at the end.
I mean, there was a whole. They had a whole bunch of those tapes. People eating, like, bashing monkeys in the head to eat their brain. I mean, it was just. And now it's just like, oh yeah, next. Oh, I can't believe this one has ads.
Yeah, that's the part that cracked me up the most. I was watching. See, now, I mean, I'm actually pretty good. I mean, we're actually all pretty good at navigating without seeing that if we don't want to, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't really see that stuff. That's not in my things to look at.
And I guarantee, and here's the thing, I've never actually, the reason I saw Faces of Death, I was doing a show with somebody, and at the time I was obviously a lot younger. That's a long time ago. And they showed, remember they had those commercials for that on television.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was called Banned from TV.
Okay.
Oh,
I remember that for girls. I remember that for girls going wild, like
no,
the infomercials at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, that shows you. Wait, how old are you again?
I am 46.
Okay, so I got a few years on you, just enough where you missed this. You just barely probably missed this, and they were banned from TV, and they would show right up until the bad thing happened. Like they saw a lady walking towards the train tracks, and the train was coming, and it was coming fast, and then it cut to the next thing where the bricks almost fell on the guy, or a car almost rolled over a guy, and
yeah, but then Fox put it all on TV. Not that, but remember when animals attack? So like, so like the commercials that would like brought you right to the edge. Now a network was going, no, we're going to show you. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like now all they do is warn you. We want to warn you right now that you're going to watch this guy get shot 27 times. And punted down the street. But at least they give you a couple seconds of warning. The internet's like, hey, man, these dogs are fun. See how the dogs are reunited with their parents? Isn't that great? You're enjoying that? Here's somebody being eaten by a baby seal.
Oh, my God.
So
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it took a while. The kid, maybe get licked to death.
Well, that doesn't sound as bad. If I'm going to go, being licked to death is the way I want to go.
I just remember seeing these things, and even that I've never seen Two Girls One Cup, and I will never see Two Girls One Cup.
I've never seen Human Centipede. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, just like there's so many, some are so disgusting. It's like you don't even want to describe the crap. But I remember, the guy getting what to death by the horse, that kind of thing. I've never.
No, I don't. Actually, I don't know that one.
Well,
what is, know what?
Well, let's just say there was an attempt to a male horse was used by a human being in a way that he replaced the female horse.
Oh, wow.
To his detriment. Okay. So
to death?
I think so. Because somebody was
wait a minute. So wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. We can't gloss over this. We'll keep it somewhat clean.
Yeah.
But let's just so this is happening, and there's a camera crew there, and nobody's stepping up. Nah. The horse is having a good time. Make sure the camera's rolling.
Yeah, I'm sitting there because the thing is, it's like somebody was telling me about it. I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna watch that. It's like it was because I have some younger friends who they watch that crap. They're probably pushing 40 by now, but they would watch that crap and think and some of them were like, ugh, but they would watch it anyway, and they were describing it to me, and they started describing some things. I'm like, dude, what made you think? You've known me at the time 2 years. What made you think that this is something that that I'm interested in talking about? Can we get back to talking about the show? What you working with me on? But wow. There was just certain things, but we become desensitized to the point where now what you see people get punched in the face. You see the crime videos.
Hold on. Punched in the face versus to death by a horse? Like, I'm gonna have to Google this. I am mesmerized by this.
I mean, and I would say this. I thought he was lying. I really thought he was lying, or trying. I thought he was trying to be outrageous on purpose.
Right.
And then I saw other people. There was a thing on the internet, like videos to not look for on, or videos to not search for on the web, and it was one of them. And
I got to tell you, I am clearly using the internet wrong, because after all these years of surfing the web, you are making me hep to things I had no idea about.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, because I accumulated a lot of followers on Twitter real quick, and man, yeah, some of those people are like, hey, yes, here's some interesting things to watch. I'm like, nah, bro.
Wow. Nobody's ever also I get on all the internet is from strangers or from people trying to take my money. Scammers, which I embrace. Yeah. I don't get people who go, hey, check out Black Stallion over here.
I also get the naked listener photos.
Oh, look at you. That's exciting.
And well, usually.
Well, Wow, you a little. Wow, look at you. You must be doing something right or wrong.
Yeah, yeah, because it was really weird. I just made a joke. It was a comedy routine I was doing on one of the shows
Mhm.
about uh I forgot what, because it's like I've done hundreds of shows, but it was like one of those things where it was as a joke. And one of the characters I was doing was well, no, it was actually me, because the other podcast is basically not how I actually am. Obviously, it's like a Hollywood husband's version of myself on that podcast. So at
Okay.
the time, I was doing a bit where I was like, and I was acting like I didn't want nude photos, but I really did want nude photos, but I didn't want nude photos.
Mhm.
And so, so I thought it was pretty obvious I was kidding, but it was not obvious to certain people, or they didn't, or because I'm sitting there going, "There's a lot of lady ass in these emails here."
Wow.
I was like,
Well, listen.
and breasts.
I'm
I'm like, first of all, I was like, I went back on. I was like, okay, I was kidding. You don't have to keep sending nude pictures of yourself. I would like to see more nude pictures, because that is absolutely wrong. More ass to send nude pictures, boobs, and that was the joke. And it stopped after a while. I was like, guys, seriously, ladies, seriously, stop.
You know what?
Relax.
I listen. You have given your audience a call to action.
Hmm.
Um, I do not feel like they should stop. I feel like they should continue and accelerate.
You know what? I'm going to say right now that the last thing I want is that. I really do not want that starting right now. So, I,
Listen, I mean,
I really, I used to always laugh when people say that they got nude photos. I was like, man, am I sending you no nude photos? Yeah, people will send you nude photos. And it was like not one guy, thank goodness, because I was like, dude, I don't want, if I want to see, that stuff, I can just look down, bro. You know what I mean?
the closest that's happened with me is a scammer asked me to send a nude photo or like of my junk.
Hmm.
So I sent them one I found online because
Hmm.
obviously I know they're a scammer, not and I wouldn't send anything over the internet anyway because
Hmm.
it's the completely wrong thing to do. And then several months later, as if on cue, the scammer tried to blackmail me with it, as that happens very often. And they were expecting me to panic and send them whatever they wanted. I'm like, go ahead, show it.
Hmm.
I'm very proud. They wound up apologizing and saying, "Oh, they didn't mean to do that." But yeah, that's the closest I've gotten. But really, people should not. All kidding aside, people should not send naked pictures of themselves because if it gets into the wrong hands, it can affect your life adversely.
I
So I don't
deleted,
recommend
yeah,
it.
I deleted that crap real quick. I mean,
Well, you're a nice human being,
yeah,
but other people are not as nice.
yeah, because they were sent. It wasn't like they were sending body parts; they were sending like their whole face.
Ah,
I was like, I was like, she goes, what do you think of this? I'm like, that's awesome. And if you were here, but it would be even more awesome. But because like I said, between me and Australia or wherever they're sending them from, it could be tapped into several times, before it even gets to me. Like I said, I even here's the thing, I even shred them. Use the shredder.
mm-hmm.
Um, from
I thought that was a euphemism, but okay, you mean a shredder.
Well, I did that. I mean, never mind. So, the virus antivirus shredder.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was like, that's why it got to the point where when I was saying to not do it, that would escalate it. So every time I said not to do it, more people would do it. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to shut up and not mention, and that's what stopped it. Occasionally, I'll get sent a butt, but it's like relax over there. Either bring that behind to me for some real business, or get out of here with that. You know what I mean? You gonna bring that over here to take care of some business that's different. Because I just had this real nightmare of a big blast of that coming, and then somebody going, look at this perverted bastard with all of this nudity on his computer from people, women around. You sick scumbag.
So what, you thought the FBI was going to bust in?
No, that was just like a nightmare. But the thing was, they're all like in their 20s and 30s and 40s, so who cares? But because it's not like some kind of disgusting thing. But
Right.
it's like just enough already, Because
No,
I don't
listen,
even.
good for you.
Because
I I've never had fans send me anything like that.
Yeah.
Most of the times, it's it's scam victims needing help.
Yes, because but if you did, like, say you do one show a week.
One show a week.
Okay, now say you did another show, and this one's called Moments with Davin.
Moments with Davin.
Okay, and you just started talking about your personal stuff, right? Real personal stuff. You watch what happens.
I mean, I talk about personal things.
No. I'm talking about a show where that's all you do.
Yeah.
If you know, because because people go with whatever you do the most, they think of the show as that.
Okay.
But if you, I'm telling you, dinner with Davin, and all of a sudden, because I was surprised. It's just really a weird thing because you have two co-hosts.
Mm-hmm.
If you start doing a show where you're talking in your regular voice and you're speaking directly to the microphone as if you're speaking to the audience members, like you're having a conversation with them, because when you start to notice the type of email you get from that type of show, I didn't know that was a thing. People have they really connect with you because you're talking directly to them.
Okay.
I was like, this show's different. I'm having guests on, my friends on. We're having a great time, just like today, having a great time. But when it's just you and you're talking directly, it's like the quiet storm.
So what you're saying is this is not a vehicle for you to get ass, but the other podcast is a vehicle for you to get ass. All right, that's fine.
It was just so weird. I mean, I'm just wondering. I was just completely stunned by. I mean, who the hell expect? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is this? I have people going, you don't understand, man. You understand me, bro. The story.
Well, that's good, man. That means you're connecting. You're doing something right. That's great.
And it's cool. It's really cool. I'm like, but I like this one too because I get to hang out with my friends and introduce my friends to the people that listen to this podcast, and that's basically the reason behind this one. Is I wanted to introduce people.
See, what I feel like how you should give back to your fans is after this episode and going forward, starting with your 100th episode, actually, you should have your guests send naked photos of themselves to all your fans. That's what I think you should do.
Yeah, I actually was going to start a new series called Davin's Junk.
Well, it'll be a short series. It won't last very long, but by all means, go for it.
And then what we're going to do is at the end of every episode, we're going to have you on every Wednesday. And then we'll just have our regular conversation like we're having right now.
Right.
And then we'll immediately go live and you can show the audience Davin's Junk.
Well, I think it kind of takes away from the mystery if we're going to do it every week. I think it should be more of like a pop-up event, as you were.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Who was it? Joe DiMaggio said, I'm going to play as hard as I can because there's always going to be someone there that's never seen me play before.
Correct.
There's always going to be someone there that has not seen.
Well, then my goal is to make sure everybody's seen it. That should be my goal.
I'm already working on the theme song. Davin's Junk. Davin's Junk.
It's great. I'll tell you what, my junk is out right now in anticipation. I cannot wait.
Folks, can you feel the magic?
Yeah, that's what actually I call it. I call it magic. It's like a wand. Wow. So yeah, this is not like your usual show.
No, because I've changed things up a little bit. Did you get jammed in the arm? I'm gonna switch a little real quick.
Okay.
Couple of.
That's not usually where one gets jammed.
Well, I was not going to expose all of your secrets, but
okay. Are you asking if I got the vaccine?
Yes,
I did.
Well, which one did you get?
Whichever one they offered me, which happened to be Pfizer.
You get Pfizer. Okay, I got Moderna.
Loser. No.
Yeah. It's funny how they lumped Moderna and Pfizer together as almost one entity. And all the rest of the vaccines were like waiting outside to get behind the ropes.
Johnson & Johnson, if you can't afford the good stuff.
Here, take this, you bastard.
AstraZeneca, if you're desperate.
That's the thing. Is like, what is the deal with the AstraZeneca one? Because I know people that got the Johnson & Johnson one. And
we're shipping our AstraZeneca to other countries because we don't need it, and it hasn't been cleared to be used in the United States yet, I believe, but it has been cleared to be used in other countries. So since we don't need it, I think we've actually shipped that to other countries.
And some of them need it, like India needs it really badly.
Yeah, that's the thing, that it's so heartbreaking, and it's a joke, but it's not a joke. It's like, India has so many doctors, but they can't get this under control, but they don't have the resources, I guess.
Yeah, because also when you have a population that gigantic,
it's also very poor. I mean, they're poor, they're closed in together. I mean, that's why everybody, here is leaving the cities, because they don't want to be on top of each other.
Because because I have a couple of relatives, one relative and a couple of friends that got vaccine, and it put them on their ass. I mean, it put them down. I mean,
which one did they get?
One got Pfizer, one got Moderna. I can't remember which. One of them was down for like 30 hours,
Wow.
And I called them. I was like, hello. I was like, oh, guys, I'm going to keep calling and checking on you, man. You know what I mean? And then it took a while. My sister got put on her ass.
Wow.
I had both shots. I had literally 0 side effects.
Yeah, it's amazing how this works out. I mean, it's just really based on your body, I guess. There's no way of knowing. I mean, I had a sore arm. I felt like I got punched in the arm both times I got the shot.
I didn't even have that.
All right, well, what do you want me to tell you?
Maybe
they didn't give it to you. Maybe you got the placebo. How do you like that? Maybe you don't get it. Maybe they said, you know what? I sent you a picture of my junk. You did not respond. You get no vaccine. Maybe that happened. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, when I walked out of the office after the nurse, I did hear someone go, "Got him." So maybe that does. So maybe there's some truth to that. But it was really.
I mean, you're just lucky. I mean, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I because I cleared out 4 days of my schedule. Just in case, because they said it was going to be 2 days, but I mean, even if they say 2 days, you don't know whether you're going to be right. So so I gave myself 4 days, and I was worried. I'm sitting there going, oh man, because I had food poisoning before, and I remember how bad that felt. So I was anticipating feeling that again at least. And I'm going, oh man. And I said, I talked to my friends, but like 8 hours after, you're going to get it good, buddy. It was like,
they scared you.
It was almost like they were threatening me. Yeah. You're going to get it good, punk.
Not from the vaccine. We're going to come by and kick your ass.
So I went to the door, locked it, and you ain't getting in here, you bastard. And I didn't, okay, there's a slight correction. If I touched the actual spot where the needle went in, I could feel it was a tad so on contact, but there was no pain other than that. And so 8 hours, 12 hours. I woke up the next morning, and I was like, when I woke up, my eyes popped open. I was like, okay, this is the buzz. I know it's going to feel bad. I'm feeling nothing. There's nothing going on here. Well, maybe it's going to be the next day. Nothing. And I never had any side effects. My brother had no side effect. I had another close relative, nothing. And it was just very, very fortunate thing, because I was preparing for the worst. I went out and you got to get Gatorade and all these other kind of things because they say you get dehydrated. I had something going, all this bull stuff for nothing. I should make myself vomit just
because
I'm going to show
them.
Damn, I'm going to put some ice in my drawers and put my finger down my throat so I can get the chills and vomiting. But
wow.
But the funny thing about it was I said to my sister, now watch what happens. You have to get a booster shot. You'll get it. Nothing will happen in you. And I'll spontaneously combust while I'm driving down the street on the booster shot,
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't know. It's a leap of faith. I will tell you, I feel free. I mean, I'm glad I got it. It's like, wow, I can go back to licking strangers. This is very exciting.
Yeah, my friend. I mean, that's wrong. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my daughter got her second shot last week. So at the end of next week, she should be fully protected as much as you can be. So I look forward to going in restaurants again. Now, my wife and my daughter, they look at me as nuts because I'm walking around without a mask. they think I'm insane. But I'm like, you know what? They said trust the science.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I get it, it's not supposed to be very serious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wear a mask. I wore the mask. I did the right thing. Now I don't want to wear the mask.
Really? Yeah, they said it's really weird because I'm walking down the street. I'm fully vaccinated, so I don't wear the damn mask when I'm walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I head towards the building, I put it on out of respect. But
I don't. I keep it in my pocket
mm-hmm.
in case somebody asks me to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to a store last week where they said whether you're vaccinated or not, please wear a mask. Okay, I'll wear a mask. I'm not trying to make a political statement out of it.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a choice though, and nobody's health is imperiled, I'd rather not wear the mask.
No one want. Yeah, because it's like it was really weird because it was like you almost felt like you were being defiant in your own car. When you're supposed to wear a mask, like, I ain't wearing nothing. And I saw people wear them in the cars. I'm going, you're in the car by yourself.
Yeah, I didn't get that unless they were just going someplace really quickly. I mean, I wasn't following them around, but yeah, I didn't. I guess they thought maybe it would come through the air conditioning. I mean, I couldn't get that much into. If I was outside and I wasn't near anybody, I wouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah, I had one guy. I didn't know he was vaccinated at the time. And he close talked to me, and I'm like, I'm about to. This is before I've had my first shot,
right?
And I was like, dude, it's like
no. I mean, that's just disrespect. I mean, it's disrespectful anytime, but to be doing it now with what we're going through, it's like, do you have no boundaries, sir?
Like, jeez, bro. I told a couple people, to come. This is back during the height of it. And the guy comes up to me to ask me for $1, and I said, yeah, I'll hook you up when I come back out of the store. And I was serious. I mean, I'm not going to say that if I'm not going to do it because I don't want. I mean, I'll feel like I'm teasing the guy, and that's not cool. He follows me into the supermarket. And he's following me around, and the security guard's going, "What are you doing? You following this guy?" Man, he goes, "That's my boy. That's my buddy." And I'm like, "I'm not his boy or buddy." I just told him I'd give him $1 when I came outside. He started coming towards me. I put the $1 on the on the next to the soup, and I said, "It's over there." But I social distance, bro. Oh, sorry, man. What the hell is with these people?
Because you know what? You always want near you? Homeless people.
Yeah.
You definitely want people that have been on the streets getting as close to you as possible. That's what I said.
Yeah. There was one guy I would go to the donut shop, and the guy was there every day. Well, I don't know if he was there. I mean, he was there every day that I went because I didn't go every day. And I would always get him something. He would,
You're a nice man.
First he would like, could you help me out? People would look like, die bastard. They were, they were like over the top mean. I was like, good Lord, man. You'd be better off just ignoring the dude. Get a job, loser. So I got him.
I don't get that.
I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So I got him a coffee, one of those big cinnamon meals, right? And and it got to the point where it was like, I would see him again, and I'd do it again, and I'd do it again. It got to the point where he would brighten up when he saw my Camry would pull up. He knows my car now, right? He's like, there he is. And I got the stuff for him. It's like, it's $3. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. Who cares? You know what I mean? So, and then the weird part about it was the last time I went, he wasn't there. And I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy's name. To me, he's the guy I get the coffee in the cinnamon roll for.
Right.
But he wasn't there. And there was a part of me like, he is on the streets and he knows when I'm here and he knows when I come, but he's not here. And all I'm thinking is like, uh-oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were worried. You were concerned.
I was like, oh, that's not good. I still haven't seen him. I mean, it's been months. So I was like, oh, God, okay, I think I know what happened here.
Well, maybe he found somebody who'd buy him a sandwich.
That cheating bastard.
It's possible. He might have traded up. I mean, listen, a cinnamon pastry and coffee is nice, but if somebody's going to get you a foot-long and a soda, I mean, you gotta take that.
Let's keep it real. Footlongs cost like $9. Ain't nobody getting.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Bezos wanders into town, starts throwing some of that Amazon money around, buying people foot-long sandwiches, hoagies, as they would say from your region. Who's to say? Maybe a nice hoagie and some ice cream with Jimmy's. I mean, that's possible.
Ice cream, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're gonna want favors if they spend that much money. And I'm gonna need you to mow this lawn. Wait a minute, I just wanted a cup of coffee. Because that's because it's really weird because nobody gives money for nothing. No,
that's not true. You did.
But I'm a special man, Davin.
You are a special man.
I'm a very
You're a kind man.
I didn't realize how much money I was spending until I was like, that's $3 a day. I was like, I basically doubled my cell phone bill.
For $3 a day, you too can caffeinate a homeless man and get them hopped up on sugar. Won't you give?
Because
won't you help this man get diabetes?
You know what? The funny thing about it is like, yeah, I didn't even, because that was the thing. I was like, what can I get him that I know was going to fill his stomach? Mm-hmm. Right. But, it's not going to, because I was like, oh man, hook him up there with the thing there, Jack. Hook him up there with that stuff there. Get a job, buddy. You had to listen to that crap. I think that might have been the catalyst more so than just me. I mean, it's like, I don't yell at people. The guy's having a hard time. You don't need to yelling at him, you dumb bastards.
That goes back to what I said earlier. It's like the effort to be mean. I don't understand it. It just takes too much more work. You have two options. You have three options. You could be a douche. You could do the lovely thing that you did, or you can ignore him. Clearly, ignoring is the easiest option. Involves the least effort. So if you don't want to give them something, why not take the path of least resistance and just ignore?
And he wasn't even super aggressive. He was like this little guy. Well, he wasn't. He was probably average height, but he was skinny. Mm-hmm. And he was like, could you get me a... I did. The funny thing about it was near the end, near the last few times I saw him, it was like one time I saw him and somebody else had got him some stuff, and I walked up and I was like, you still want it? And I'm like, why would you say do you to me? I said, of course he wants it, you dumbass. Why why would I say, look, you got one meal. You sure you want a second one?
See, now you played that wrong. I would have yelled at him and go, you're cheating on me. After all we've been through, I'm the one who buys you food. What, now you're taking from everybody? Does my $3 mean nothing to you, sir?
I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but the person got him a small coffee and one of those little punk twists. That's
not a good human. This is not a good human being you're describing.
Yeah, I got him the large coffee and the big cinnamon bun. So I mean, just I'm just to show that I'm infinitely better human being than that dude.
You are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, really, that person should go straight to hell for a small coffee. Ugh, who are you?
Yeah.
How could you?
I think that's probably why the guy didn't come back. He probably followed him home and beat him down for being cheap.
Probably. You know what? I have a friend. He gives me a lovely cinnamon roll thing and a large coffee. This is an insult. An insult, I say. I will not drink your small coffee.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get you. I understand. We're on the same wavelength.
Now, can't let you go without a couple more things.
All right.
Now, tell me about the beginning, the return to stand up. How was that going?
Slow. It's going slow. I mean, so, look, according to social media, and you know how truthful that is, Steve, mm-hmm. Everybody's working but me. Yeah. But I know that's not the case. It's I've been back for a little while now. I could tell people are getting more comfortable because they're returning to being drunk and obnoxious. Whereas like when I was like performing at the height of the pandemic here and there, or doing outside shows or whatever the case may be, people were very nice and appreciative and polite, and people are still nice. Don't get me wrong. But now it's like they're drinking to intoxication. Now they're feeling entitled, feeling like a bachelorette party, feeling the need to come on the stage with me as I'm trying to wrap this show up. It's like, oh, we're back, baby. We're back to being ourselves.
Smells like home.
Smells like home. Look at the drunkenness. Oh, I missed you.
Oh, I can't wait to when I start performing again and do a third show on Saturday with someone trying to start a fight with someone on the other side of the audience.
Third show on Saturday.
Yeah.
What comedy scene are you? What are you returning to? 1988? What are you talking
1989, you bastard. I still remember those. I still remember doing the third show on Saturday. I know everybody does 2 and 2 now, but I was like, I used to love
2 and 2.
You don't do
wow.
2. What in that? You do 1 and 1 shows?
Listen, honestly, the clubs have cut down a lot. I mean, your better clubs used to do Wednesday through Saturday, mm-hmm. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. Now maybe a show Friday and 2 on Saturday.
That sounds about right. That sounds like Lancaster used to do 1 on Friday, 2 Saturday, and 1 Sunday.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really been cut down. That's why I'm not really traveling as much now. Like for instance, like a club in Florida, I would work. They would do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now they're just down to Friday, Saturday. So it doesn't make sense. It's really been cut down a lot. But I mean, listen, I'm glad. I'm happy to do comedy. But the nice thing about the pandemic was, I mean, even though I was still working and trying to be creative and working on projects, there wasn't that constant need to constantly try to find work. And now that things are opening up, there's that dread that when you're sitting on the couch, go, I could be doing something more productive. Mm-hmm. I should be doing something more productive. I need to find work. So, and there's just not a lot of it, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of work, and there's more competition than ever. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy to do it.
What about the Zoom shows?
The Zoom shows are kind of like the in-person shows in this way. They're often as good as the people who set them up and the people who are in the audience. So when you have somebody who's good with the technology and is policing the room and is trying to have the audience be mic'd, it can be fun. It can be the next best thing to doing a live show in front of people. When people don't want to have their video on, don't want to have the camera on, when there's all sorts of noise in the background because somebody has the TV on, it's not as good. But listen, I think the Zoom shows could be here to stay. Mm-hmm. I think they serve a purpose. I definitely like them better than the Facebook Live shows because the Facebook Live, you don't hear anything from the audience.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's the most important thing is podcasts are here to stay.
Okay, is podcasting here to stay?
I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know people like to say radio's dead. It's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about who some of the biggest podcasts are, there are people that got famous on mainstream media, whether it be radio or television or music. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, the thing about podcasting is it's like open mic night. Mm-hmm. You might find a gem like the show I'm on right now, but you got to sift through a lot of stuff that's not so good. Mm-hmm. But everybody gets to do a podcast, and you're fortunate enough to have fans that want to send you naked pictures.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit that part out because I have a feeling it's gonna be an influx.
No, please send pictures postmarked.
I know this is what my DMs are gonna look like. It's like as soon as you know what, it's gonna happen.
That's funny, man. I don't get that stuff. Like I don't get that type of stuff at all. I mean, we do our show live, mm-hmm. So I'll have people like in the chat room, but again, there's no nakedness. In our chat room, there's just people like cracking jokes or making fun of one of us or anything. Mm. Nobody's showing cleavage in our chat room. Nobody's showing private parts in our chat room. We got a whole different scene going on, and I think your scene is the real scene, my friend.
Yeah, well, it needs this. Well, then again, for the record, do not send breasts and butts. So,
all right. Don't send breasts and butts. That leaves a couple of other things that can be sent people. Also, you have your marching orders.
And don't send that stuff either. So,
send it all. And he's very fond of horses.
My friend, I want to thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you do a long show, and then you come on and do a good show with me, man. I appreciate you coming on, my brother.
Thank you, brother. You know what? I appreciate it. I always like coming on. I think this is my 3rd time on your show, so that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Maybe next time I'll get to do a monumental show, like 100 or 150, but whatever, I'm just the amuse-bouche.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to have you on the 100 show, but once again, I have a special thing I want to do with me in the audience, and it requires me showing all the nude photos.
Well, yeah, listen, I look forward to that. I'm actually going to send you some money so I can get the scrapbook, the personally autographed scrapbook that I know you're putting together of all those pictures. The
only problem is since it's a podcast, it will just be me looking at the photos and you listening to me go, "Whoa, wow."
Well, you know what? I think for the 100th show, you might have to go live with it, so the audience go, "Wow," too.
Is there any way to unshred photos from 5 years ago?
There probably is. I just don't know how to do it. They're probably, you know what? I don't think anything really disappears.
Well, all right. I mean, that's wrong.
Listen, you know what? I know your audiences are good people. What they should do, and they'll do it. I know they will. They'll just resend you those pictures from 5 years ago, so you don't have to rack your brain trying to find it. So they'll do that. They're good people.
I'm going to let you know if they do.
I hope you do. I hope you do.
All right, my brother. Thank you for coming on. Oh, plug your shows, man. Plug your show.
Oh, okay. Oh, you guys can listen on Tuesday nights. You go to davincomedy.com. You can listen to Davin's Den, and that's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Or you can just listen to the podcast whenever you want. You can go to davincomedy.com, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. We're on our 10th year. We've been doing this for 10 years, and I should be much better at this, or at least much more famous. But there's all sorts of shows. We scam scammers. We talk about current events. We laugh. We have a good time, and nobody sends us naked pictures.
All right. Now, you've been listening to this man for an hour and a half. You see how great it is that what he does. You see how funny he is. So get your butts over there to listen to his show. You dig?
Oh, thank you. You're a kind man.
All right, I'm going to link all your stuff in the notes anyway.
Thank you, sir.
My brother, take care. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Hey, take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye. All right, now that was fun, wasn't it? Told you. What did I tell you? Have I failed you yet? No. Will I fail you? Also no. Thanks again for all your support. Much love to everybody, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.